Many internet Christians are genuinely some of the most insufferable people that you will ever encounter. Not every single internet Christian. There are actually a few very, very lovely Christians who follow my content and leave kind and thoughtful comments on almost every single video. And this video is not directed at you, not for 1 second, so do not take it that way. This video is directed at the Christians who love to tell me that I'm going to hell, that my experience, in fact, wasn't my experience, that I was never a Christian, that I just believed in the wrong brand of Christianity, that I'm a son of Satan, or that I am just stupid and don't understand anything. This type of internet Christian is what I'm talking about when I say that Christians are insufferable. They try and wrap their hatred and their cruelty in piety. They are so wrapped up in what they have been brainwashed to believe that they're literally incapable of empathy or honest dialogue with people who think differently than them. And honestly, it pisses me off. Although I fundamentally disagree with much of it, I'm very happy to let Christians believe what they believe. I have many personal friends who are very, very passionate about Jesus, and I don't try and dissuade them or even necessarily bring up my beliefs to them unless they directly ask. If I'm in a conversation with somebody and they start talking about how amazing God is, or that they think that God blessed them, I go with it. What does it hurt? Like, how would it benefit me or them for me to say, God's a bunch of bullshit? It wouldn't. If they want to give credit to God for their happiness or their success, nobody is harmed, and I've got zero issue with that. But somehow these internet Christians, anytime that I share anything about having left the faith, will inevitably say, you were never in the faith, or you're going to hell, or you don't understand anything, or you're a son of Satan, and so on. They'll categorize me as having been lukewarm, fake, or just going through the motions. And when I explain that they're wrong, they don't listen and they do not care. They just pull out some Bible verse that proves I'm wrong. And they just want their opportunity to dunk on someone and high five their Christian buddies and say, see, we got that non-believer real good. Woo! And honestly, I'm sick of it. I've made plenty of other videos discussing the issue, but it's the most pervasive problem with how Christians interact with ex-Christians online. And yes, I mean ex-Christians. Because you know what? I was a Christian. Others who left the faith were Christians. And not just to fit in. Not just to go to church. Not just because it was a thing to do. The actual real deal. Doing what Jesus commanded. Following Jesus. Praising Jesus. Loving Jesus. Praying to Jesus. And I'm so fucking sick and tired of these internet Christians denying what I experienced and what so many others experienced. If these fuckers think that I'm going to come back to Christianity because of these kinds of remarks, they need a rude awakening, because there's literally nothing more repulsive in conversation than someone invalidating or denying your own life experience that fundamentally shaped who you are. This hypocritical bullshit is really insufferable. They love using verses like Matthew 7:21 to say that I must just never have been among them. Quote, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. So let's ask these so-called internet Christians the fundamental question of, what is the will of the Father? What is God's will? And I think if we break it down with Jesus' own words across the Gospels, well, there are many commands. It comes down to loving one another and taking care of one another. Later in Matthew, in chapter 25, verses 31 through 46, Jesus discusses his return. You can pause the video right here and read the whole thing if you want, but the long and short of it is that it's a very similar scenario to his preaching in Matthew 7. People are sorted into two categories. Some who thought that they were going to heaven are cast out, and others are honored and taken to heaven who didn't expect it. And you know what the fundamental difference was? Jesus knew and saved those who were feeding the hungry, giving water to the thirsty, inviting the stranger in, clothing the needy, taking care of the sick, and visiting those who were in prison. Jesus said, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these, you did for me." Jesus' bar for if somebody knows him is how they treat people in need. It's not a particular doctrine. It's not praying a fucking prayer when you were 5. It's not even baptism, although Jesus discusses that elsewhere at length. It's taking care of people in need, especially people that the world looks down on, people that these internet Christians generally hate, like immigrants. And I can fucking guarantee you that as rough around the edges as I can be, I'm doing a lot more of that as an atheist than most Christians who are out there trolling on my videos. In fact, it's 95% of the Christians who are screaming about the illegal immigrants crossing the border and wanting to harm gay and trans people. It's mostly Christians who are shitting on homeless people and telling them to get a fucking job instead of actually doing something to help them. I've always been passionate about this part of Jesus' mandate. Even as an atheist, I still am. As a Christian, I was very, very much so. If I were to have lunch with a historical Jesus, this is what we would chat about. Honestly, I'm maybe even more fired up about taking care of people now as an atheist than I was as a believer, because I no longer believe in cosmic justice. So if people are going to get some kind of justice and be taken care of, it's here, it's now. Sitting on your ass and praying to God for him to feed the hungry doesn't do jack shit. Going out and feeding the hungry feeds the hungry. Helping them get the skills and the tools that they need to work, and helping them get sustainable jobs and deal with other problems, that changes things in their lives. And it doesn't matter if you do it in Jesus' name, Buddha's name, Muhammad's name, Satan's name, or in your own fucking name. It is doing the work. So, Christians, maybe instead of trying to get all theological and attacking ex-Christians for saying that they're ex-Christians, you can get busy actually doing what Jesus says to do. Just a thought. If you enjoyed this video, or even if you hated it, consider subscribing for more content like this. Have a fantastic day.